pretend this is the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank has accounts. They have checking accounts and savings accounts, just like any commercial bank. But they give them different names. They call the checking account a reserve account because it's a Federal Reserve Bank. And they call the savings account Treasury securities. Does anybody here ever buy a Treasury security or a Treasury bill or a Treasury bond? Okay. If you buy one, what do? You send the government money, it goes into your savings account, and you get it back with interest. When you send money and get it back when you send the bank money and you get it back with interest, that's a savings account. It's a CD. The Federal Reserve gives it a fancy name. They call it a Treasury security. It's just a CD if it was at any other bank. So the Federal Reserve has two accounts that you can have: checking and savings. A reserve account, and they call it a securities account, or your Treasury securities. I'm just going to call them checking and savings for the rest of this time. When China gets paid, their dollars go into their checking account at the Federal Reserve. Okay. And then when they buy Treasury securities, they invest their money, they fund the national debt. All they're doing is moving the money from their checking account to their savings account. That's it. There's $13 trillion in savings accounts at the Federal Reserve. That's the national debt. So what? Is that too much? Do we have too much savings? Anybody here think you have too much savings? Okay. No, I mean, that's not creating a problem. And of course it's not creating a problem. It's not like we have so much savings we're spending like crazy and house prices are going up every day. We have 20% unemployment and house prices going down. If anything, we don't have enough savings, right? Okay, so China's money goes from the checking to the savings. Now we've just borrowed money from China. When it was in the checking account, we hadn't borrowed it. This is all our own bank, Federal Reserve Bank. When it goes into their savings account, now we've borrowed it. Okay, you call it whatever you want. Okay, call it horseradish. Call it a savings. Call it national debt. All they did was move money from checking to savings. How do we pay them back? How do we pay back that $13 trillion? What happens when it comes due? You guessed it. We move the money from the savings back to the checking. That is it. Okay, we do this for tens of billions of dollars every week. We've been doing it for trillions of dollars. There's never been a problem. There never can be a problem, no matter what the fearmongers are saying, because that's all we're doing. When China has money in their checking account, they only have three choices. Do nothing, leave it in their checking account. They can put it in their savings account. That's choice number 2. Choice number 3 is they could buy something. They could go buy your house, or they could go buy anything they wanted. They could go buy euros or yen from somebody. The Federal Reserve doesn't sell that stuff. They could go buy something, and then the Federal Reserve will move the money out of China's checking account to the other guy's checking account. And then he decides, do I want to do nothing, spend it, or save it in a savings account? Once China's sold us the screwdrivers or the stuff at Walmart, they've decided they would rather have dollars, which are nothing more than numbers on the Fed, than the screwdrivers. Why did they do that? I don't know. It's their problem. You know, they've got a country. They're big boys. If they want to sell us screwdrivers and have numbers on the Fed's account, fine. They've got $2 trillion. They've got the number 2000000 in their savings account at the Fed. What do we owe China? We owe China a bank statement. We give them a piece of paper, or they look at their computer screen. As a statement says, "Congratulations, you're rich. You've got $2 trillion in your savings account at the Fed." Well, how are you going to pay us back? Well, as soon as it comes due, we'll move it from your savings account to your checking account, just like we promised, just like our fathers did, and just like our children are going to do. It only takes like 2 kids, you know, in case one's on vacation or something. This is not a big job. That's what paying back the debt is. That's what borrowing is. Now, when Chairman Bernanke spent the $600 billion, changed the number up, used a computer to loan the money to the banks, do you think he cared whether China's money was in their checking account or their savings account? One's a debt, one isn't, whether we borrowed it or not. No. It doesn't matter. It's never mattered. He just changed the number. I think he cared if the guy at the IRS, the Internal Revenue, changed numbers down and collected taxes? No. These people don't even know each other. They didn't even know the phone number of the guy in debt management. He's a treasurer. I knew the guy, by the way. He's one of the guys anyway. And I don't know the IRS people too well. I know the fake guy. Try and stay away from the IRS. Okay, so is Social Security broken? What do we do to make Social Security payments? We change the number up in somebody's bank account by $1,000, $2,000 a month, every month. We've been doing it for a long time. Do we ever bounce a check? No. Federal government clears its own checks. It just changes the numbers. It's not the state. If the state of Connecticut doesn't have money in and tries to make a pension adjustment, they have an account at the Fed right here. It's in their checking account. If it goes negative, the Fed says, sorry, bounce check, not sufficient funds. But not for its own payment. They clear their own checks. They don't have to worry about that. They just change the numbers. It's a totally different thing. It's impossible for Social Security to run out of money. Now, it is possible for a congressman to say, we're not going to pay it. That's very possible. That's why I want you to elect me instead of them. Because they don't get it. They think they've run out of money. We've had President Obama more than once in a single day say the U.S. government is out of money. We've had Geithner and Clinton and Obama fly to China to talk to our bankers. Because we think if they don't move money from their checking to savings, we can't fight the war in Afghanistan or pay for Medicare and health care. They have no idea how the monetary system works. There's between 50 and 100 of us who know how this thing works. That's why I'm here. It's a matter of conscience to show you that we can do this. We can cut taxes, we can raise our take-home pay and return to a normal life, and we're not interfering with Social Security payments or anything else. So do you know what happens if you pay your taxes with actual cash? You know, you can go to the Federal Reserve with $100 bills and pay your taxes. They take the money, okay, they give you a receipt, say thank you very much, you just helped pay for Social Security, you know, in the future, Medicare, in the war, and then they wait. Then as soon as you close the door, they take the money, they throw it in a shredder. They do. You can buy shredded money in Washington. Well, why do they do that? Well, what are they going to do with it? They don't use it for spending, they're changing numbers up. Why? How does taking your money and throwing it in a shredder pay for anything? It doesn't. Okay? But that's a fact. I'm under oath, okay? This is not just some campaign talk. You know, I'm not looking for this paycheck. I'm under oath. All right, so the thing is, taxes have a very important function. They control inflation. They control the value of the currency. Because if there were no taxes at all, and we spent all the money we earned, and the government spent their $4 trillion a year they spend by changing the numbers up, if they didn't change any numbers down, there'd be too much shopping for too few goods, and we'd blow prices through the roof. We'd have a runaway inflation like you've never seen. And it doesn't work. So the purpose of taxes is to take enough money away from us so that when the government shops with their $4 trillion and we shop with what we have left, it's about in balance. We buy enough stuff to keep us all fully employed to produce it, but not so much that we drive up prices. And so if taxes are too high, the economy looks like it does today because we don't have enough money. The government buys its $4 trillion worth of stuff. We buy whatever we can afford, and there's still stuff for sale. And so we're unemployed because we can't sell everything. If our taxes are too low and we have too much money, we'll see inflation. And unemployment will be down to 3%, and housing prices will be going crazy. We'll say, look, we've got to cool this down. Then we might raise taxes. Now, I've never seen this in my 40 years, but it's possible that we had too good of an economy that we needed to cool down. We would raise taxes. To pay for Social Security? No. To pay China? No, we just changed the numbers. Social Security, we just changed the numbers. But to take away money from us to keep the value of the currency where we want it. Now, we can keep inflation at any level we want. We can keep it at 0, 1%, 2%. That's our choice as a nation. That's a political choice. Some people might prefer it higher, lower, for whatever reason. But again, the taxes they're the thermostat. If the economy's ice cold like it is today, we lower taxes to bring it up to operating temperatures. Anyway, good point to stop and ask some questions.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.